Hey there, Latin 3. So now we're on to chapter 61, the Battle of Pharsalus. 61 and 62 are basically that. There's no grammar lessons to them, so I'm just going to kind of plug through them. Um, we'll do, a chapter or video kind of thing. What I want to do, though, is highlight a couple things. So if you turn to page, where is it? Yes, page 67 and read that. I think that would help you to prime you for what we're about to do. And then I honestly think that you should read pages 76 and 77 before you start your translations, just because it'll give you a better idea of what's going on. The only lessons that they really have are certain verbs take certain cases. I would recommend you make a chart, basically verbs that take the genitive case, verbs that take the dative case, verbs that take an accusative, even though those are all transitive verbs. But like, there's some verbs that it's odd that it would take an accusative. Verbs that take the ablative, and then another column that says verbs that take combinations. And you just keep a list of those verbs. There's greater ways to understand it. If we're in person by this point, then I will have explained that to you. But honestly, having a cheat sheet chart is not a bad idea. So you should definitely read through those pages that I just mentioned. And then I'm just making sure there's not another one that, yes, pages 96 and 97, and then review 15. After you're done with 60 to 62, I'm going to remind you again that review 15 is actually really useful. So that is that. Let's start on chapter 61, big A. Here we go. Caesar exhorts his men to battle. So this is the Battle of Pharsalus. This is the big battle where Caesar beats Pompey, and it's clear that Pompey's on the run from here on out. Okay, and it's customary for a general to come out and tell everything that he expects. Also, Caesar made it a habit to ride into battle with his men quite often, wearing a scarlet cloak usually, so that they could see him. Courage, bravery, that kind of thing. I would also point out one other thing about this is that Caesar is writing this after he's won the civil wars. So, I mean, he's going back to his notes. He's got secretaries and stuff like that. But this is the victor writing the story, okay? And his Civil Wars is actually a really fun little read because he gets really, really petty. All right, so, big A. When Caesar was exhorting his army, or urging on his army to fight according to the custom of war, and was setting forth his constant services toward them as an example, he especially recalled that he could use his soldiers as witnesses to how much zeal he had sought peace, or with which how much zeal he had sought peace, and that he had never wished to waste the blood of his soldiers, nor had he ever wished to deprive the republic of either army. This is a civil war after all, right? So he's like, I have never wasted your blood. It has always been wars that we've had to fight. I have always sought peace. You know that I've reached out to Pompey a number of times. Our hands are tied. There was in Caesar's army a veteran soldier, Gaius Crastinus, a man of remarkable courage, who in the previous year had been the tip of the spear in the 10th Legion. That is, he's like the highest ranking centurion kind of thing. He's like the bravest and acknowledged as such, and he survived under Caesar. So in the 10th Legion under Caesar. Caesar's favorite legion was his 10th for some reason. When the signal had been given, this man, notice this man, not that man, this man, because Caesar's saying, this man is with me. This man said, follow me, you who are my comrades in arms, and give to your commander the service that you have pledged. This one battle remains, and after it is finished, he, pointing back to Caesar, will regain his prestige, and we will regain our liberty. So Caesar's got all his soldiers thinking that they have to fight for their liberty in this civil war. I would just like to point out to you that there's a leader in Rome 2,050 plus years ago who convinced people who followed him that all of his aggressive acts were actually acts of defense, and that following him meant that they would get their liberty back. At the same time, looking back at Caesar, he said, today, General, I will see to it that you will thank me, whether I'm alive or dead. So in other words, I'm gonna get out there and I'm gonna do stuff that you will be grateful for. When he had spoken this, he was the first one to rush forward or to charge forth from the right wing, and about 120 picked troops, that is specifically volunteers from the same century, that's the organization that he was in, followed him. So he goes out, Caesar goes out and gives a speech, and then he's got the team captain coming out and giving his speech. And then they just charge the field, all 121 of them. All right, I'm going to hit the button.